So let me begin the next topic of Pelton wheel. Okay. So first, what I'm going to do was I'm going to explain it through through white screen so that I could explain the concept fully and then a theoretical part fully. Then I will go for the whiteboard and then I will be explaining about all the details. Okay. Right. So now, so this is a front view of a Pelton wheel. Okay. So this, anyways, I will be representing you in a board itself. Okay. So let me give you the steps one by one. So this is the front view, or you could see that if it is a horizontal, if the shaft is vertical, I'll be connecting a Pelton wheel like this. Okay, if the shaft is vertical, so this is shaft. Okay, so if you see from top side, okay, top view, I'll be seeing this only. Okay, so I'll be seeing this. Or else if the shaft is horizontal, okay, if the shaft is horizontal, I'll be connecting a Pelton wheel like this. And if you see in this direction, front view, it will be like this. I will show you some other figures so that it will be more convenient for you to understand. See, this is your Pelton wheel, right? So this is the shaft. Okay, this is the shaft. Okay, so it is attached to the bigger rotor, and rotor has number of vanes. Okay, number of vanes, and you could see the type of vane. Okay, the type of vane which is present here. You could see that it is something like two spoons, right? So there was one spoon here, and there was another spoon here, and in between there was some there was a splitter. Okay, so that is actually called as a splitter. In between two spoons there was a splitter. You could see here, so there is a splitter here. Okay, so which is going to split like where the fluid is exactly going to hit, and it's going to flow over this, and it's going to flow over this. Okay, that's what actually going to happen. The fluid is going to flow, it's going to hit here, and it's going to flow over this and over this. Okay, so this shape, okay, so this will be ellipsoid. Okay, so the shape of this will be ellipsoidal. Okay, so I will be having two ellipsoid attached together. Okay, two ellipsoid attached together, or you can consider that it is something like two spoons. Okay, two spoons. So veins, the structure of vein will be something like two spoon attached with each other. Okay, so and in between there was there was a splitter, okay, which is going to split the liquid. Okay, right, you could see here as I already shown you, right? So this is the practical visualization, or what we are generally using it in the industry. Okay, so this has been taken from the Google only, but just for making you to understand more better way. And in this figure, okay, in this figure, you could see that split, you could see that particular veins much properly. Okay, so this is the splitter. Okay, you could see this is the splitter. Fluid is going to flow over this, fluid is going to flow over this. Okay, right, so now we will go back there and we will see. Okay, so this is the view of that particular vein which I explained. Sometimes they will be calling it as bucket, or sometimes it will be called as veins. Okay, so now here we are seeing the front view. As you could see here, if you see in this direction, okay, so if you see in this direction, you could see a circular drum, and then you could see number of veins, right? So that is exactly what I am showing here. Okay, so this is the circular drum, a bigger circular drum, and there was number of veins attached to it. Okay, number of veins or number of buckets. Okay, right, so now what is going to happen? Very simple. Okay, so there will be a fixed nozzle, and this fixed nozzle is nothing but stator. And as I already mentioned, stator is nothing but static part. What does mean by static part? Static part is nothing but the part which is not going to move. It's a fixed part, right? And in this case, stator is the static part, and this fixed nozzle is the fixed part. Okay, it is static, and this is the rotor. Okay, this is the rotor or runner, or it is also called as drums. Okay, so that is going to rotate. Okay, so that is rotor or runner. Okay, or sometimes it is also called as drums. Right, so what is going to happen? The fluid is going to hit exactly here, and here the fluid will be having high pressure energy. Okay, high pressure energy will be there. I will be using a nozzle. Okay, so I am using a nozzle. By using nozzle, the high pressure energy is converted into high kinetic energy, that is the velocity. With high velocity, the fluid is going to hit this particular vane, and due to that there will be momentum exchange, and due to momentum exchange this starts to rotate with an angular velocity omega. Okay, so that is the concept, very simple concept. And now you could see here the fluid is entering. How it is entering? This is the runner, right? This is the runner, and fluid is entering tangentially. Fluid is entering tangentially to the runner, tangentially to the rotor. So this Pelton wheel, okay, this Pelton wheel is a tangential flow turbine. Okay, it's a tangential flow turbine. I already explained about axial flow, radial flow, and now we are introducing one more term, tangential flow. Okay, so it is a tangential flow turbine, and once it hits here, this rotor starts to rotate, and as usual I will be connecting this. Okay, I will be connecting this to a generator, that is an alternator, and from there I will be getting the power. Okay, right. And side view, this is the side view of the splitter. That is, if you see in this direction, if you see in this direction, you could see splitter like this, or three-dimensional figure as I already shown you. So this is the exact practical practical usage of Pelton wheel. This is what the exact representation of Pelton wheel. And you could see here, this is the splitter. Okay, this is the splitter, and this is the bucket. The fluid is going to split like this. Okay, and more clarity you will be getting this by seeing this figure. Okay, now this is what the three-dimensional, and it's just a what I could say, it's just a representation. Okay, so how it is going to rotate, as you could see here, fluid will hit. Okay, fluid will be hitting. Okay, fluid will be hitting here. As it hits here, this starts to rotate in this direction. Okay, as you could see here, the fluid is hitting and it is rotating in this direction. Okay, and another three-dimensional view, this will make you to understand much clearly. Okay, you could see this very clearly, right? It's hitting, the fluid is hitting, it's flowing over the veins, and this rotar's rotating. Okay, so yeah, you could see this. So this makes us more understanding. Just I want to make you to understand it much better way, right? So that is why I'm showing you all these things, so that you can understand Pelton wheel. Will be having more clarity in that. So the basic principle is very simple. Here I will be having enormous amount of pressure energy. I will be using nozzle. Okay, I will convert that pressure energy into kinetic energy. With the high kinetic energy, fluid hits this, and due to the momentum will get exchanged from this velocity, this high kinetic energy fluid, to this particular Pelton wheel, that vane, and this starts to rotate at an angular velocity omega. And how it is entering? It is entering tangentially, so it is tangential flow turbine. Okay, so further analysis, further theoretical part, and all other things we will be covering it in detail once we enter into, once we start seeing it in the board. Okay,
would have already seen the slides. I would have explained this in slides by using the figures. So now let us continue discussing here. See, when the fluid is coming out with the velocity v1, okay, so when the fluid is coming out with the velocity v1, it's going to hit the blade, and this rotor is going to rotate with angular velocity omega. Okay, and I'll be taking a pitch circle diameter. Okay, I'll be taking pitch circle diameter as my reference diameter, because as you could see, the fluid will be entering, and I am going to assume that the fluid is entering exactly at a diameter of a pitch circle diameter. It is entering at the pitch circle diameter. Okay, now before going into that, let me explain this. Listen, velocity of the fluid which is coming out of nozzle is v1, right? That is jet velocity or spouting velocity. So if I want to find out discharge, from the nozzle, how to determine this nozzle's diameter? Let me take it as dn. Okay, or let me keep it as d only, small d. Okay, let me keep it as small d only. Okay, and also this diameter is d. So discharge is nothing but cross section area into velocity, right? And in this case, cross section area of the nozzle is pi by 4 d square into jet velocity is v1, and I already know what is jet velocity. That is v1 is equal to cv root of 2gh. Okay, so this gives discharge through single nozzle. Okay, so this is for single nozzle. Okay, let me keep it here itself. Let me keep this equation here itself. Now come back for the definition of a Pelton wheel. Suppose they are asking you define a Pelton wheel. What is a Pelton wheel? What is a Pelton turbine? How to define it? Listen, it's very simple. A Pelton wheel is a first thing, it is an impulse turbine. Okay. So what is mean by impulse turbine? We already know. There is no centrifugal effect. There is no reaction effect. It is tangential turbine. Now, reaction effect is made as 0 by making this complete turbine to be there in the atmospheric pressure. But how the centrifugal effects are made to 0? Because the centrifugal effect are made to 0 by placing it, like by making the entrance and exit, okay, both of them to be at the same radial distance. See properly, listen. Fluid is entering like this. Okay, so you could see that fluid is entering like this. It is hitting the splitter. In between there will be a splitter. It hitting the splitter, and it is getting, like, it is going to flow inside the vein, and it's going to come back like this. Okay, carefully see. It is entering at some radius. Okay, it is entering at some radius. It is flowing over. It is flowing over the veins, and it is coming back at the same radius. Okay, that is what I taken it as pitch circle diameter or pitch circle radius. So it is entering at R. Okay, it is entering at R, and it is leaving at R only. Okay, maybe it is getting twisted, like it is flowing through the veins, but it is leaving at the same radius only. See, radially, this is our axis of rotation, right? This is our axis of rotation. Radially, there was no change. It is entering here. See, it is entering. It's entering here. It's flowing inside the vein. Okay, it is flowing inside the vein. Again, it is coming back at the same radial distance. So it is entering here. It's coming at the same radial distance. It is entering like this. It is coming like this. Entering like this. Coming like this. So with respect to center, okay, with respect to center, it is entering. It's coming like this. You could see here, right? I will be showing you in this. See. So this is the entrance. This is something like an exit. Okay, so this is entrance. This is exit. So from axis of rotation, this R remains same only. Radial distance remains same, which means U is same at both inlet and outlet. Okay, so that is why I said even in case of tangential turbine also we can make centrifugal head to be 0. Okay, not only in case of axial. Okay, so tangential turbine, U1 is equal to U2, which is equal to U. Okay, that I will take, since it is rotating in this direction, I will take the velocity of the blade to be U, like this. Okay, right. Next, impulse tangential. Third, it is an high head turbine. It cannot operate at a low head. The reason for that, okay, why it can be operated only at a high head? What is the reason? We already classified, right? Low turbine, medium head turbine, and a high head turbine. It can be it's going to work only if the head is available as high. Okay, it is a high head turbine. Reason, question mark. I will be giving you the reason at the end. Okay, so don't worry, I will be giving you. Okay, so high head turbine. Okay, that is 1. Fourth, low discharge. Okay, the discharge of this turbine will be low. Let me give you the reason for that. Okay, it is a high head, but it is low discharge. Let me give you the reason. Listen, the water power, the power which we are going to have, okay, which is nothing but rho GQ H. Okay, and the power which we are going to get at the end, the power which I am going to get at the end is nothing but the shaft power, right? Shaft power is what? Can I write that shaft power is equal to water power into overall efficiency, right? Overall efficiency is nothing but shaft power by water power. So if I multiply water power with overall efficiency, I will get shaft power, right? And this shaft power, okay, that is the power which I want. The power which I want is constant. For example, at this moment, I want 10 kilowatt of power. Okay, that 10 kilowatt of power is constant, or 100 kilowatt, 1000 kilowatt, whatever it is. That 1000 kilowatt of power is constant. Okay, the power which is needed for me is constant. So this is constant. Overall efficiency is fixed. Okay. Rho g, that is also, we are assuming it almost constant. Density of water, acceleration due to gravity is constant, right? Then by using all this, I can say that QH is equal to constant. Listen carefully. Shaft power, which is nothing but the power which is needed for me. I know what is the power which is required for me. Today I required only 100,000 kilowatt of power. I already know that. So 1000 kilowatt is constant for today, right? So this shaft power is constant. Overall efficiency for a turbine is always constant. Okay. Rho g is also constant, assumed to be almost constant. So the product of discharge and head should be constant. Now we already know that Pelton wheel is high head turbine, right? Pelton wheel is high head turbine. So if the available head is high, so Pelton wheel can operate it only at a high head. If the available head is high, then discharge has to be low. Availability is high, then discharge has to be low. Why? The product is constant, right? Discharge into available head is constant. If head is high, then discharge has to be low. Okay, so it is a low discharge turbine, high head turbine. Finally, one more very good conclusion. Fifth one, it is low specific speed turbine. Specific speed turbine. Why low specific speed? Listen. So it is low specific speed turbine. Why it is low specific speed turbine? If you note it down, okay, so if you note it down earlier, specific speed is directly proportional to root of Q. Okay. Now you might ask me one question, sir, this is only for a pump, why you are using it here? See, I'm not saying that the specific speed, discharge based specific speed can be used only for pump. Okay, it is not the case, but most of the times pump's characteristic will be pump's characteristic will be defined with respect to N, that is speed, head and discharge. Okay, that is why it is more convenient for us to use specific speed based on discharge for pumps. But both the specific speed, Ns due to discharge and Ns due to power, both of them are, I could say that both of them are valid for both turbine and pumps. They are valid for hydraulic machines. But since in case of pump, most of the times I will be specifying using the discharge, so I will be using discharge based specific speed. And in case of turbines, most of the times I need to specify with respect to power, so I will be using power based specific speed. But both of them, like both the equation, discharge based specific speed, power based specific speed, both of them are common for fluid machines. Okay, any fluid machine, they are common. Okay, right. So Ns is directly proportional to Q. So if there was low discharge, then there will be low specific speed. Okay. So now finally, Pelton wheel. So what are the conclusions which I could give from this? First one, it's an impulse turbine. Okay. So impulse turbine means centrifugal head is 0, reaction head is 0. Tangential turbine means U1 will be equal to U2 because the entrance is radial, exit is also entrance is like this. It is entering tangentially, right, to this total rotor. It is entering tangentially. Okay, it is entering tangentially. So this is radial. This is axial. It is entering tangentially. It's entering tangentially and it is exiting also tangentially. Okay, so entrance, exit both are tangential, both are present at the same radius r. If fluid enters like this, I can say that it is axial. If fluid enters like this, then it will be radial. But this is tangential entrance, tangential exit, and entrance and exit both of them are at the same radius r. Okay, so U1 is equal to U2 is equal to U. High head turbine, why it is high head, we will be discussing it later. low discharge, since head is high, discharge will be low, and since discharge is low, specific speed is low. Okay, by using the specific speed equation, n is equal to root of q. Okay, so now let us proceed for the next discussion. Okay.